Cellos, Miss Ferrato here. Today we're going to be making a practice track for La Casa De Cuerdas by Jeffrey Frizzi. This piece is actually not that difficult and it repeats itself a lot. However, once you learn to play the main idea in tune, you should be good. I think a lot of this actually is making sure that your first fingers are getting in tune, and it doesn't matter if you're playing on the D or the A string. First fingers are getting in tune, and then also your fourth finger G's. And you got a lot of them. So you need to make sure that fourth finger is always going to be in tune. My recommendation to you is do not play, I'm going to sit more of an angle facing the camera, do not play with your elbow like kind of to your side, because look what happens to my wrist. It gets a bend in it. So you need to play with your elbow out a little bit, and that will straighten up the angle of your wrist a little bit as opposed to having it bent. So make sure your elbow's going to be out, and that'll help elongate that pinky finger as well. The other thing is when you're holding, I'll sit at this angle now. When you're holding your instrument, make sure your thumb is opposite your second finger, and that's going to be a good gauge is if you're putting your fingers on the tape. If you're not doing that and you're doing this kind of a thing, not only did my wrist go at a funny angle, but look what happened to like my fingers, they kind of came together. So if you do that, your elbow will go out, you saw my elbow come out, and it'll elongate that pinky. So do yourself a favor and do that. Another thing I see kids do a lot when they play this piece is they'll play the first fingers in tune. They're like, cool, I got that. But then their fingers kind of scrunch up. Even if they're doing that, sometimes it happens too. Their fingers will scrunch up for whatever reason, and they don't maintain the shape that they need, and then their pinky fingers don't wind up going back to that fourth finger. So that's another thing. Just keep the shape of your hand. It's like if you were to grab a baseball or a softball. I'm not a sporty person, but I know at least what that looks like. And that's what that shape would be. Or if someone said, hey, do you want a soda? You'd be like, totally. Probably shouldn't drink soda. And then that's kind of the shape you would have if you were holding a can of soda, okay? So you have to think like, what would my hand look like? You wouldn't hold a can of soda like this, like I'm drinking a can of soda. Almost looks like I was doing a hand puppet. Fingers on the tapes. I'm sorry, you just had to see that. I think that intonation thing's a big aspect of this piece, especially since you only have so many notes in this piece. The other thing to keep in mind is every time you have a little dot above a note, that means to play it short. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily to put an accent on it. I'm going to bring my cello up a little so you can see my bow. So if I'm going to play just on open D for a second, obviously you play it on the floor. Instead of going like an accent with a lot of pressure and a lot of speed, you're just stopping the bow. So you're just making the note short by stopping instead of making it smooth. That might be a good exercise to do before you start the piece. Smooth versus short. The last thing I wanted to let you know is that we're going to be taking this 105 beats per minute. I know in your music it says 120, but the last time I saw you, that's about how far we got. So if you don't have a metronome at home, go into Google, type in online metronome, and there's one that comes up on the screen. Adjust the little slidey bar to 105, and you got a metronome. So let me know if you have any questions. Let's go ahead and start this. We're counting rests, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1. Cellos, I hope this helped you. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thanks. Bye.